I've been here, and I always remember what my relationship was like with my mother. And I was kind of thinking about what I would have said to her, how I would have helped her if she had came to me in the middle of my stuff.
Grab one for me too.
And yeah, I was thinking about what happened to me and her, and many of you maybe have been in this situation, but when I was 11 years old, my father had to move to Utah. And they didn't get divorced or anything, but my dad had went from cleaning airplanes to becoming an A&P mechanic. And he worked for Delta Airlines. And so in Seattle, there was no mechanic jobs. So he had to go to Utah. And they bought another house down there. And we would fly back and forth we flew for free. So about every other weekend, I would go to Utah and see my dad, and I'd be with my mom. And me and my mom became buddies. You know, we just did. And then, but I wasn't a man yet. And my dad was kind of doing that thing where he said, you got to be the man of the house and everything. So to me, what that ended up meaning was I can tell my mom what to do. You know what I mean? I felt like, oh, Mando, it's Wednesday night at 9. I'm going out for a while. You know? And I kind of, that's kind of what it meant. I was drinking during the week, 13, 12. I'm starting to not do my homework. I'm starting to drink. I'm starting to stay out late. And, and then it became that she less and less, because there was a time where my mother had ultimate power over me and influence. And slowly but surely, I started using everything against her. I had just learned as a boy how to manipulate my mom's love. And what could I say to make her feel guilty? What can I make her say or make her think about why things were harder for me than other people? And when I slowly got into drugs, I was able to convince her what opiates had done to my brain and why my brain is different from anybody that's got sober and how hard it is. And that was before we have all this education that's going on out there. So imagine now I would have been able to really work on my mother. But, there was just this point where my dad kind of took a back seat and was kind of absent in the discipline side of my life. And he kind of had his own deal of questioning whether he should infringe on this part of my life or not, allow for me or not to allow for me, and he'd get his own anger. And so there's this weird thing that started happening where it was, okay. And I thought about now, if my mom back in the day, I bet somebody would have told my mom and brought her in a therapy session and said something about the word boundaries to my mother. And said, you need to get your boundaries. And that would have been, in my opinion, a mistake. It's not. My mom's boundaries, I didn't care. I don't care what your boundaries are. I literally don't care. I'm going to do my thing, and there's not a thought process that your boundaries matter to me. Can't you tell, Mom? And worse than that, if you do say your boundaries to me, I'm going to cross them and I'm going to blame you. And I'm going to say, I had to do this because whatever. And there's just this, I know a lot of you have sons, you just see this total,
I think we're 100%. We all have.
and it just becomes this total, just this little prick that really, really knows when you're upset and then kind of buys you flowers, but I'm not literally, but it's like some sense of, now I need to win Mom back, but I'll win him back in this weird way. Like I'll be, no matter how that little boy knows how much they've crossed and pissed you off, now they just kind of come back in and win you over. And then slowly the mom starts my mother would start, I would do something to really steal from her or something. And then, and then I'd start come on, Mom. on, and my mom wouldn't be talking to me for a minute, and I'd act like I didn't know why, So then I'd be like, "What's wrong, Lon?" And then she never wanted to say it because it's a hard thing to say. Hey, you stole from me, you're a prick, And I just think that, and so I was thinking about that all on the way over here, and think about this real problem of fathers, kind of. In my opinion, it's a father thing, and it's a father thing of not truly raising men and teaching that person how to treat women. And you have this absence of a father figure that's doing his job to say, don't ever treat your mother that way. And for me, that seems like kind of a continuous theme that we come across. We did a little thing the other day about, we looked at the 50 people that have overdosed in our that have been part of the program that we
Doesn't mean we didn't.
they went with us.
Doesn't mean that.
It's just people we have contacted with and then found out that they've overdosed. Whether they were in our program, not in our program, whatever it is. People that we had contact before, that we could help. And we found that out of 48 out of 50 really had either absent or really beta fathers. Really fathers that took an absence or either no father or someone that took a back seat. And we found that there was like two that really had like strong fathers, but actually they took a backseat too. And through divorce, it became this weird thing where dad became a buddy rather than that father. And so we just saw this. We saw it all. We're seeing it all through. And I think I would caution anyone and for us, there's a different approach. I wouldn't teach my mom. Now, if I had to teach my mom how to deal with me, it wouldn't be about boundaries. It would be, and I hate the word empowerment because I hate that word. It means it sounds like somebody else is giving me the power. Empowerment, women empowerment. It's like, no, I would teach power. I would teach that really what's happened to everyone is that along the way, you lost all your power with your son, and your son actually became your abuser. And it was abusive because you can say, Mom, I'm sorry for doing that, but you continue to treat me that way. You don't understand that you keep treating me that way. That you being out on the streets and just acting like this is similar to a husband that's in infidelity. It's the same kind of abuse, And if my husband was out cheating on me in a motel room on the streets, I wouldn't text out, I love you, over and over. And so we have these young men that are really abusing their mothers, putting them through abuse, and then the world is telling you to text them and say, I love you, as if your absence of love is the problem. That it's, it's like, I knew my mom loved me. I didn't need her to tell me. I knew every day she loved me. In fact, that's why I'm making you give me money and treating you this way, because I know you love me and I'm going to abuse you because there's nothing I can do to have you not love me. And that is like, from my perspective, it's looking and going, oh, we need to teach moms maybe to pull more of their love, to maybe say, hey, you need to be a man, and then I'm going to shower you with, when I see good behavior, I'm going to love that. And so, this is what this thing here is about. For me, I said last night in the group, I said that we're all here for one reason, and that's suffering. In one form, we're all here for we're in different clubs. But the common theme of each of these clubs is suffering, and then each club has its own flavor. So you have your flavor of suffering. Jennifer has her flavor of suffering, these moms, and we're all suffering, but it's a different flavor. And I suffered from different things, and I had my suffering from what I've went through and put people through, and you have, so that's what we're here for. And so that if it's that we're here for suffering, okay, well, then it's kind of like this thing. Well, what happens when our suffering, we don't want it anymore, but we're willing to live with it, but what we actually kind of get curious. And that's what I said last night, is that there's a point where suffering gets curious. And by suffering getting curious, what I mean is it says, I need to find what is the purpose of this suffering? I need to get curious about what's this purpose. And, I never knew when I got into helping people what the purpose was. I just thought I was kind of like God's gift to the world. Well, then God's art's here to tell everybody how stupid they are. Really, I will tell you, that was about what the first 4 years is. Look at all these idiots, you know? And then Angie was this gold mine of idiots, you know? She's bringing me, and I'm just sitting there listening to them talk, and I'm like, in a second, I'm going to tell them how stupid they are. That's how it was. Really? Well, no, you were there. I went up to my first...
This was the beginning. I liked it, yeah. I mean, I liked it so direct, but he turned to people like I was telling Linda about Christine Valala. She came and then she decided not to come anymore. She wasn't like...
She didn't like my swearing.
Yeah, this, he was a little distracted.
But my first mob was at Mazatlan Mexican restaurant, Neum Club.
That was in March of March of 2000.
No, it was not. It was during the football season.
Oh.
Because I am interrupted by the Seattle Seahawks and the New York Giants. And I had come up, and I know that because I was sneaking into the bar to watch the score.
And the song was so rude. I was like, Sarah, I was like, I didn't know if he still listens. He can still watch the game and actually know everything that the ladies are
So what I did was I went to this meeting, and to me it was simple back then. I can fix the problem. If you just listen to me, I can show you what to do as a parent to end this. And that was how I thought. And so I sat around this table, and I had my hat on low, and I'm looking at the scores on my phone, and I listened to each... It went around, and she thought I wasn't paying attention.
I got 21 or 23 bombs.
And it went around. Each one of them told exactly where their kid was at in the journey and what was going on. And as each person told, I already had their strategy down. Okay, bam, that person just needs to do this. That person just needs to do this next. And I had it all. And so after they all got done talking, I just went around. You know?
None of those moms are here.
None of them speak. Let's say, year.
He's polished.
And so it was a thing that I found out that people don't want to really be told that they're behaving stupidly. They don't like that. It's not the easiest form of connection. And so from there, that was it. Learning, okay, this thing is about me helping people, isn't about telling them how stupid they are. It's about trust. It's about building that and enrolling people and getting them to trust me. And so I have to now work on myself. And so, for me, I didn't know when I got into helping people what it was. Like I always say, I always thought that I was this glorious piece of sandpaper. And there was all these rough rocks that I need to smooth out. Look at, and then Angie brought me all the rocks. And at some point it switches and you realize that the people are the sandpaper and you're the rock. And they were here to smooth you out. And that's how it kind of switched in my journey, was all these people are here to make me a better person. That's what it was. And taking it further, all these people are here to help me learn how to keep my heart open. How to keep this open heart and how to find love and how to connect with God, in my opinion. So this thing became about me and God. And how much can I take? And how much can I give? And how much can I take? And can I end up with an absence of boundaries? You see, I don't have any boundaries. I think boundaries put a fence around us. I think boundaries make us smaller. I think that's what they do. And so if somebody had told you, hey, you need boundaries, what they're saying is you need to be smaller and protect yourself more. Well, I don't find that that's helpful, to be smaller and protect yourself more. Not if you're going to help other humans. If you're going to help other humans, you need to be more open, and you're going to be subjected to almost every form of ridicule, almost every form of an encroachment on your boundaries that exists. I have none. People, you'll find maybe one day you'll just be here and see somebody just walk into my closet and grabbing my shirts and now own it. And then it'll just be akin to program. I remember my sweatshirt was put down at the group room. I was about to do solution room, so I put my sweatshirt on the other day. This was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
I put my sweatshirt down and just kind of put it over here. Kid from the program just walks in and sees my sweatshirt there, puts it on, and I go, hey, that's mine. And he goes, and I have it? And I just go, yeah?
That's why we always say Kristen.
You know, and I've had everything happen. You know, the people that I'm helping and the hardest to help are in the most pain. And people that are in the most pain dump pain. And by that, I mean you are a focus of their pain at some time. And you're trying to keep open during this process. And so, you know, the difference between what I think that people need to understand and finding purpose in our suffering has to do with not closing our hearts. But it has to do with, you know, this kind of thing. Pain is resistance to what is. That's what it is. So we resist facts. We resist the way it is. And that causes us this suffering. And so a long time ago, I figured out that pain was, I read this in a book, you know, an Eckhart Tolle book when I first started getting into this. And he said, pain is resistance to what is. And to me, that was an answer. To me, I went, whoa, you mean the moment I stop resisting, I'm not in pain anymore? Wow, this is remarkable information. You know, all I got to do is accept. When Andrew's son died, I was not as polished, still even back then. And she had just lost her son, and it was about 4 or 5 days after. And I said, well, you need to get over here to the big house and come to group. And she hadn't been to group yet. I said, you gotta come. And I started really looking at this thing, acceptance, you know. And you know what it means, acceptance. It means to receive what is offered. That's what it means. So it's to receive what is offered. And this is what is offered. And what is offered that's difficult to accept is never good news. You know, it's not like, hey, I need you to accept it. You just won the lotto. That's easy. It's this receiving what is offered. And what is offered is really a plate of dog shit. That's what's offered. It's here. It's like God handing you a plate of dog shit. Going here, receive what is offered.
Add the steaming word to it.
Be steamy. So from when we and Angie were doing this, it was about her receiving what is offered as quick as possible. And, you know, she did. And, you know, one of the things with our suffering is, and that's what I was going back to saying, pain is resistance to what is. And if we accept what is, we don't suffer. Well, what I found going forward by teaching people that was that, yeah, to some of our suffering, we want to. You know, and some of it especially when we lose a loved one, it's like you're kind of thinking of your loved one, I imagine, and you're going, I wonder how long they would want me to suffer. You know? So for her, one of the things that Angie would do, she wouldn't drink coffee. She wouldn't drink coffee when her son died because it was almost like he's watching, and if I'm down here enjoying a cup of coffee, I'm not really being a good mother. You know, it's not really a good thing. You know, and so you'll end up kind of blocking out your own joy because you don't want to be a bad mom or whatever it is. And, you know, it's kind of, what is this for? Well, for me, it's this clubs that we're at, this suffering club. How curious can we get about our suffering? And how well can you keep an open heart, lose your boundaries and open up and not close down? And how big can you get? How powerful can we get? How much acceptance can there be? How much God can come in here? You know, how much is this about you with God and your relationship and him asking you to receive and have faith in me? And saying, please receive what I'm offering you. Have faith in me. It will get better. You'll see why later. You know, you'll see why later. And to me, that's what we're doing here. We're united in suffering, and our suffering has gotten curious. And when our suffering gets curious, we can have compassion for others. And that's what I was trying to say last night. Is there's not enough true compassion, because compassion to me means we're the same. We are the same. I can't have compassion for people that I'm not the same as. Not the true compassion. I can't really. I go, oh, that sucks or whatever. But when I see somebody that I'm the same, we suffer the same, now I'm qualified to have compassion. And I think compassion needs a qualifier. Really, it does. To be true compassion, it needs a qualifier. You guys can't understand what it's like for a man to get hit in the balls. So you can't have compassion for that. You will probably think it's funny, but it hurts, right? And I'm not going to understand and have compassion for a young lady getting an abortion. I'm just not in that club. So I can't say to her, I'm the same as you. I'm not. I don't have that compassion. I don't understand. And I don't qualify to have compassion for you. I might qualify to have empathy or sympathy, but I don't qualify to have that necessary compassion in order to be helpful. And so to have that kind of compassion and say, for you all to reach back to parents that are in the fight, or to reach back to parents that have lost, and to say, hey, we're in the same club. I was here, but my compassion, my suffering got curious, and as it did, I started walking out of it. But if my suffering doesn't get curious, I languish in it. I maybe adopt it as a lifestyle. And so at that moment when I go, yes, I'm suffering, but I want to not suffer. And I want to find purpose. And I'm curious to what this purpose is. And if I walk a little further, I will find this purpose. I'll find it. And so to come, and then I'm going to grab you and show you your purpose. I'm going to show you why this has kind of happened. And then that's what it is. You know, I can imagine right now what we need in this state and the work that we're doing. I need 25 women of Beyond the Battle to come down and speak on the House floor with me. I need people to come down and get angry and say, no, listen, you know, God, what if my son would have been arrested last week?
He was arrested.
What if they would have kept him?
Kept him. His condition of release was that he lived at our residence. I talked to a liaison at the court. I said he doesn't live here, nor can he return here right now, because they had a son going through a divorce, and of course that mother wants to use the fact that we had a drug addict in the house, and so her children weren't safe there. I told them no. They released him anyway. So what was that condition?
That's right. That's right. They don't.
There's no substance
And
abuse.
just
So you guys know, there was this beautiful unification between treatment and Department of Corrections up until about 2016. I ran this big house around here, and I'd have 35 kids in my house, and if they were on DOC, I knew each of their DOC officers. And if they were acting up in my program or they got high, I could call their DOC officers, and the DOC officer would be up over in a second, pick them up, and give them about maybe 3 or 4 days in jail. Just that perfect amount to go, hey, you know, boom, little tune-up, go get that. And it was beautiful, and it was a great system. And then about 16, 17, more and more, it just started falling on deaf ears. Hey, this guy that's on DLC and in probation has just used drugs and beat up somebody that lives with me. So, what could you do? Oh, yeah, don't worry about it. We'll see him next Monday. He has a court date in a couple of weeks. Well, because there's become this normalization and allowance for drug addicts.
yeah.
And they believe that, see, there's a myth. The myth is, or the truth is, they will say addiction needs connection. True. Addiction is an absence of love. True. But that's not on anyone else. See, my addiction needed connection. Who was to do that? Somebody else was to connect with me? Or was it for me to learn to connect with the world again? Yeah, addiction needs connection. It needs me to connect with the world again. Yes, it needs love. It needs me to love people. It doesn't mean other people need to love me, and the reason I'm an addict is because I'm shaded and I don't get enough love and connection, and I'm just this thing under this tree. No, we all saw the amount of love that your sons got. We all saw it. There was never an absence of love. In fact, maybe they were, even when they were behaving so poorly, it's like, and this thing is taught to mothers, unconditional love. It's taught. and it's said, you're supposed to as a mother. What does that mean? Who deserves that? So imagine the arrogance of me talking to my mother. Mom, you need to love me unconditionally, no matter if I steal from you, rob your shit, go do drugs, leave you worried all night, don't come home. I still am entitled to your love. How crazy is that? And you're taught as people that that's what it is, that you need to love your kid unconditionally. Well, of course you do. But also, there needs to be a pulling back of that love and to say, no, now you got to earn my attention again. Now you must change a little bit. And so when my mother, one of the things that I taught Angie right away, when her son came to my program, Angie would come over and shower her son with love. And he would get that, you know? And it's like, you're too much. Too much. You're too much. You know? I would say mother's raising son, it's a lot like dating. He's like, and I taught her to play hard to get at boy. So the next time she came over for an event, she comes in and she starts being curious with all the other guys in the program.
He told me to.
Yeah. So now she's just sitting there.
I'm like, oh, Devin, oh, hi. Oh, Billy, how you doing?
And pretty soon, here comes Devin sniffing around. Oh. Now he, and that's the games they're at play. This is this playful kind of thing, and all of these going to what we're trying to help mothers do. A lot of the time when I have a consult, the first thing I say is, your son's 35-year-old. He looks like an adult, I understand. He's got a beard and shit. He looks like a man. He's not. They're not men. They don't have nice big bank accounts. They're not providing for anyone. They're not independent. That is a boy. And in order and then the question I always have to mothers is, what's more likely? You stop mothering them and they become a man, or they become a man first and then tell you to stop mothering. And I don't think the second one's going to work.
You taught me something so valuable, Art. It's in my pocket every day. You said to me, you said, Renee, you need to step back. Like your son is just stepping all over you. And I was doing, what Colin, most of us had done. We just love our children and it is unconditional. And then you forget when they go from 10 years old to 20 years old, you're like, how'd that happen? I mean, you don't see that in your head. So you said, you need to step back and Nico's dad needs to step up. And the truth is, my ex was always very stern and everything. And I had to own the fact that I got in the middle of that because I was thinking he was too harsh. So I'd always kind of like curb it. Like, oh, that's a little harsh. Nico's very sensitive, right? And then it got to the point where my ex just let me do everything. So like, you told me, let go, Renee. Let him, and oh my gosh, like instantaneous.
That's good right there. That's
There's a nuance to it, and I would say that as a husband, am I entitled to her unconditional love? Entitled. Meaning, okay, but that's the same thing when a young man is looking at his mother. And that's how we learn how to treat women. I'm not entitled to her unconditional love. I'm not entitled to it. My behavior has conditions on her love, and it must. And so if I were to say, you should love me unconditionally and let me treat you any way that I treat you, I would be a lunatic. But I just want to open mother's eyes to the fact that no, you don't need to display unconditional love. You don't. You need to go, wait, I break up. We're out of this relationship. You treat me like shit. And I got other things to do right now. And so, for me, that's what my mom had to do. My mom had to break up with me. And when my mom kind of broke up with me and said, you know, you and I were done. I would never date you. I mean, that's kind of is. I always ask mothers that too. Would you date your son?
I had a similar conversation with Chris when he was in the Kent house. I don't remember what we were talking about, but I said something to him after a Tuesday group, and he looks at me and he goes, "Are you breaking up with me?" Fire? Yeah.
I mean, that's what kind of needs to happen. We have all these sons that are in this, are learning how to treat women by how they treat their mother. That's how they're learning it. And that's how I kind of learned how to treat women, because my father didn't demand different of me. And I had to like grow up on my own and get to a place where I go, okay. And it only came through helping people and open my heart that I even be able to have the capacity to love my wife and provide and do those kind of things now. But, you know, my mother wasn't, and father weren't very helpful in that. They didn't understand. They didn't understand. And so my mother stayed in this mother identity. And that's the problem that you're up against. You're also up against this instinct, this massive instinct to nurture, to care for. And, you know, that's a battle because the parts of you are battling. And I can understand that, you know, in one aspect, you're like, oh, he needs food. And that does.
That's what's really hard about being a single mom, because that's me, is like you have to be both.
Yeah.
But you're not wired to be that way.
And the real teaching of Battlefield, what we want to teach mothers and parents is that this open-hearted no. Can you give this open-hearted no? This open-hearted no for the good of them. You know, to be able to not be angry, to be able to open and loving and go, no. And that's what I had to learn about what tough love was. Like people always say,
Because I love you, right?
but yeah, people misunderstand. And that's the other myth that I need everyone to help Battlefield share, is that tough love doesn't work. Yes, it does. You just didn't do it. What you did was either shower them with love or be tough on them. But tough love is a blending of this loving no. Now, the problem is that we can't just blanketly teach parents tough love because of what's happened on the streets. So now we're having to add a next layer of, yes, we're going to have to teach this family to do this thing called tough love, but then like it might not work anymore because somebody out on the streets is going to come and say they love them more than you. And when they come and say they love them more than you, they're going to bring them equipment to stay out on the streets longer or make it so it's easy. When really we needed to do tough love as a family, send them out to the lion's den and have them running back for help. But now it's amazing. We have to go out on the streets and we have to like top people there sleeping in 20-degree weather to come in. This is, by the way, guys, this wasn't this way in 2015 and 16. They changed the culture on us, and they're recreating hundreds of charities that help our loved ones. And what they mean is they help them stay homeless, and they help them use drugs.
I think Grace's only saving grace is that he got into so much trouble. He was going to a prison. I was the only thing that saved him. All I was like, please don't be like your father. Please don't be that. Like, I thought that was the worst thing that could happen to him. And now I look back on it and I'm like, that's the best thing that's ever passed to you.
So that's our fight. You know, it's a bunch of different nuances to this thing. But number one is, what is our suffering? What is the purpose of it? And then how do we go down the trail of that purpose and get further along and pull other people down that trail? And in this, what am I learning about my relationship? In my opinion, it might not be for everyone. But in my opinion, helping people is not between me and the people I help. It's between me and God. That's all it is. And so when I'm getting hatred or whatever, I just, God, is this what I'm supposed to do? Am I help me? This is where I'm supposed to be. And it makes it palatable, especially with these kids. But you really, that's it. So my purpose of my suffering was, I don't know if I would ever found God or had this relationship with him, or this relationship of love and open heart, and be able to sit around with a group of women and cry like more harder than you do, but I do because my heart is open and I'm always right there ready. And that's the purpose of my supper, was to make an impact on the world and open my heart and to build my relationship with God. And that's the journey that, if that's the purpose for you, then this is the place. And it's the place to say, how many people did Devin's life help? I mean, if you really look at how many people losing Devin has helped, losing Devin has changed me. Changed me as a person. It changed me as a treatment provider. It's changed me. Every loss changes me. Every loss changes me. It does. And we're able to, and I think one of the important parts is to not blame ourselves, but know, if I would have known better back then, this is what I would have done. And you guys need that, specifically you guys, to be able to tell mothers, hey, I'm not lavishing in my own mistakes and blaming myself and feeling sorry. I just didn't know this existed. I didn't know this at the time. So now that we know this, let's teach. And I can take a lot of the brunt of it I didn't know what I was doing with her son. When I met her son, I was infancy of helping people. And I made it about me with her son. And what I did was, I wanted to help him so badly because I loved her family. And I loved her brother, and I loved her. And so I tried to become Devin's hero. And I would do things for him that I wouldn't do for other kids. Help him get a car or a job or whatever. And then I would call her, I got your son a job. And I was playing this real heroic thing. And what ends up happening in those cases is the person starts resenting you because you begin to take credit for their success. But you're never going to take credit for their failure. So then when they're failing, you're going to be mad at them because you're so desperate for them to succeed so you can impress other people. And so I wasn't the greatest with Devin, and we always talk. And if I met Devin today, he'd be alive, and I would have been able to help him. And I would have never meant it about me. But that's just a hard fact that her and I understand.
Well, we also understand that it just had to be this way. This is just how it, this is just how it's.
That's how it had to be for his life to affect so many kids. It's affected so many people because I don't treat people that. I learn from my mistakes, and it's okay to call them mistakes. It's okay to say I made mistakes. They're called mistakes. I didn't know I was making them at the time. But now I can see my mistakes, and because of that clarity, I can give it to you. And I can say, hey, if we have a mother and their kids on the streets, let's get them today. That's what you would want. You would tell them, if I could do it right now today, literally, I would stop my life, and I would have spent every day on the streets getting them. And mothers need to know that.
Yes.
We have mothers like Andrea Flynn who have been coming, and her kid's been out on the streets for 2 years. And
She's 4 now, I thought.
Yeah.
I think it was 2, but I thought it was 4.
I used to watch families, a family would come to me and they would say, my loved one is out on the streets or in addiction. And I used to liken it to something like this. It's like, imagine if there's 5 family members and you all get the shuttle and you go to the moon. And your 5 family members are on the moon. And one's missing. They're just not at the table for dinner. They're not there. What would the other 4 people do all day? They would just look for the one that's missing. That's all we would do. And for some reason, when that one person gets missing in our family right now, we all kind of have learned to just move on and try to do our lives still and do the best we can, because I think we've been taught, well, they got to do this or something has to happen at this. And
Gotta wait till they're ready.
you got to wait till they're ready. Battlefield's mission is family intervention. And not the interventions you see on TV or the harsh, shameful interventions. No, intervening as a family to direct the person to do something different than they're doing. Real simple. Hey, this isn't good. And so, And that's what we're lacking in our state is this community intervention. Right now, I was just down at this place called Kent Peer Center, and they act like they're doing good. And if you go to Kent Peer Center right now, 5 of the clients that just got there had just went and got a cup of coffee, and they start out their day and they go to the bathroom and get a cup of coffee at this place. And then all 5 of them came out, and we watched all 5 of them smoke fentanyl off foil. And they're just standing right at this building, smoking fentanyl at the Kent Peer Center right on the foil. And it's like, this is not just negligent, this is criminally negligent. You know, I mean, you are a negligent criminal organization that is facilitating people smoking fentanyl, whether you like it or not. And if I told you that someone was back in my back bedroom right now or out in the backyard smoking fentanyl right now, and then I said it has nothing to do with me, you'd call me crazy. And I said, hey, I'm not facilitating it. They're going to do whatever they want to do. Yes, you're facilitating, because at the very least you could go, I can't watch you die here. Please, I'm not going to try to have to do that. Can you please move along? You know, and almost everybody should be saying that. Hey, please move along. Please move along. Please move along. You can't do that here. And so that's our kind of mission. Lack of boundaries, forget that. Forget getting smaller. Open your heart, get bigger. Let's get bigger. Let's get powerful. And let's not get angry or anything. Let's get bigger. Let's get powerful. Let's have more acceptance. And then let's talk about our mistakes. If you go to one of the things we always found as a problem with what's the family, what's that program? The mothers that go and have TAA. Al-Anon. And their motto when I went to the Al-Anon meeting was, we can't change it, we didn't cause it, we can't cure it. God, I find that to be so ridiculous. Like, then what do you say to treatment centers? What if treatment centers just said it? We didn't cause it, can't cure it, can't control it. Move along. Well, you inherently know the treatment center can cure it, but why can't you? What's a treatment center? Are they going to apply an ointment to it? Or what are they going to do? Well, they're going to connect with the person and they're going to get them off drugs. Well, you could do that. Everyone could do that. So we do have some responsibility in it. And cause? Who cares? Who cares if you did cause it? Who cares? Like, you didn't cause it knowingly, you know? So that is, to me, it was a very offensive statement. It lacks all responsibility and all power, and there's no way you could do it. You just come and be a victim and say how none of it's your fault, you can't help it. Well, how is that helpful? We went the other direction about it. We said, we don't care. We don't care what happened, how it got here.
I am the cause. Like, I have cause in this matter,
That's right.
and I can change it.
Yeah.
And I can do some things that can control the outcome. That's
right.
by making
That can directly
So we
do
go
it.
against all 3 of those statements.
Yeah,
As
it's like,
cause in this matter.
It's like, okay, well then do you think you could make it worse?
Absolutely.
Okay, and cause it.
There you go.
I mean, you're already trying to do things not to make it worse, so inherently you know those kind of things. And I think that, acknowledging. So every funeral that we've ever went to so far, we never went there going up to the family and going, well, I think we did something wrong here, and, this could be our fault, and we should have done. We don't do that. But we do sit in that funeral and go, how could we have improved? How could we have done better? What is it that we're going to do next time? What mistakes did we make? The thing about what we do is that we shoot 100 shots, and we only see the ones that miss. So out of the 99 that we don't hear from, we don't know if we did it or not. We don't know if it went in or not. We just hear the clanks of the ones that didn't go in. And so it's like shooting in a basket that you can't see. If it goes in, nobody cares. You didn't do it. And you can't really take credit for saving their lives. They got sober or whatever. But the ones that miss, you go, oh, we definitely had a part in that one, So yeah, that's difficult, but it's what it is. So yeah, we're all here in this. We all have our own flavor of suffering. And then it's do I want to lavish in it, or do I want to make suffering my identity? And do I want to take that on, or do I want to get really curious about what God has offered me here? Really curious about what God's up to. What's this dude up to right now? I'm not going to doubt it. I'm going to see what he's up to and see how I could do this. And for me, that was my mission. When I got sober at 37 years old, my mission was to go ahead and find out why all the suffering, why all the pain. What was he up to? And now we look and could go, wow, look at all the lives that we've been able to impact. Battlefield addiction. I tell all the kids now, I smoked crack for 70 years for all.
I was doing heroin and smoking crack, and I did that all for you guys. I was playing in this. And, you know, I was 30. Yeah, I was like 36. I was 36, and I said, I remember sitting in my car at Whitco, and I was homeless, and I was like, man, these guys are lucky. They're lucky I'm doing all this for them.
One more hit. Let me see. I take one more big hit, learn a little more information, you know, and that was, you know. But this suffering that we're all here united with, it is the greatest thing to happen in your life. It's either that or it's a tragedy. And I'd much rather call it the greatest thing that's happened in my life and the best gift that God's offered. And this is what I'm going to have to do with it. And I'm going to be a gift to other humans and spread the word about what we're doing here and what you're doing in your life. And I'm going to lead, and I'm not going to alleviate people's suffering. I'm going to lead them out and walk beside them while they're suffering. Until their suffering will end as soon as they reach back and grab someone else. Right? As soon as they do that, it's kind of all over. As soon as you're not alone. So we require you to help someone next. No, that's what it is. You know, because as soon as you start helping somebody next, you start going, oh, this isn't about me. This isn't some personal thing. This is just now what I have to do. And that's what it was. That's what AA is. That's what it was when we sponsor someone else. It's to say, look at all my suffering has led to me helping you. Look at this. And there it is.
Trevor has an older brother that he dabbled a little bit in Greg smoking that was alcoholics. Their father was alcoholic and passed away. But Tyler put himself through Schick Shadle when he is going on 8 years sober. And he said to me on Tuesday when we found out, Mom, Trevor and I battled the same demons. I just was able to face mine and cross over that life. I wish my brother could have done the same. Tyler has an apprentice that 3 years clean and sober. When he came to Tyler as his apprentice, he only had 3 months clean and sober. Tyler has mentored him. Brian is now buying his first home. He's becoming very successful. And to your point, Tyler called me yesterday morning and said, Mom, have you set up that memorial for Trev yet? And I said, sort of battlefield addiction? You know, they can, because the guys had come to him and said that they had passed the hat to raise some money to send flowers for Trev's funeral. And they came back to Tyler and said, I don't think you need $1,000 worth of flowers. Do you have enough for us to honor him? And that's when Ty came up to me and said, Mom, where? How? And so he's out there amongst his guys. One of the guys came forward and said, Ty, 8 months ago, I was just taking a line of Coke that I didn't know was laced with fentanyl. And if there hadn't been somebody there to Narcan me, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
I'm like, Ty, do you see? Ty said to me when we were planning his brother's funeral, Mom, don't be surprised, Mom, if there's a low term at it. Trevor alienated a lot of people. He's done some bad things. I've forgiven him. You've forgiven him. But don't expect. Connor said to me yesterday, wow, Mom. And I looked at him when we were planning his funeral and said, you're going to be the one that's surprised. So you're right.
Hey, you guys are, I mean, the fact that you guys are here is amazing. And it shows something. It shows, you know, when we were first doing this, Beyond the Battle things, you know, the mothers that were having the roughest time, we did one of our first meetings, and I remember there was a mom that had lost like 10 to 12 years on. And she came pretty much with the veil still. You know what I mean? She still had the veil on. And, you know, to me, that's very dangerous. You know, she hasn't found a community. She hasn't found a way to help. She hasn't found what we have here. And you guys, it's so important, just like Linda said. It's like we can honor and lavish in suffering. And there'll be moments of, you know, Angie Angie's still at 9 years. Today she woke up and did you tell her? So she had a dream where she has a dream, and she said, I hadn't dreamt about Devin in a year. In a long time. And I really want to dream about Devin. And she says, I get to the point where I'm going to see him. You tell the story.
Well, I get to a point where I'm going to see Devin in the dream. So I was going to visit him in jail, and the guard was walking me in, and he was prepping me to be prepared for the way he looks because he lost his teeth. And then right before I opened the door, I woke up, and it makes me so mad because I just want to just experience that. I haven't dreamed about Devin since beyond that kind of part since like a year. Within the first year, I think it was the first few months, I had a really bad dream. And it was in the first few months. It was just really, I felt it was just really, really was awful. And I honestly think my system has like just prevented me. And I want it though. It's like I want that to stop because I want to experience him in my dream, however that is. Don't care if he's in jail in the dream, but don't care how. I just want to experience him, and it just keeps stopping. And I thought, this is when I woke up this morning, I thought, well, maybe it's because I wore this necklace yesterday. It made me go closer to him, and that's why he came. And so maybe this was such a gift to do this Saturday. And I don't know, but yeah, I just want to have that experience. I just want to I would love that. I would love to have a dream where I could just hug him and feel him and, his voice or something,
Interestingly, my first dream, my only dreams of my son as an adult, it was just his voice. But recently, I had a couple of dreams in the last couple of months, and it was he was a child. And the last one was just a couple of weeks ago, and he was 6. And the innocence of the 6-year-old, he wanted to climb in bed with me and snuffle. And it was so visceral. I literally remember scooting over, and I literally opened the blankets, and then I tucked my arm around myself. It was a stuffed animal. And snuggled with my 6-year-old satellite. And it was so real. But the innocence of that is so healing. It'll come.
I had shared Trevor's obituary. This morning it just came through. And I posted it. And then when I looked at my phone again, the next post was something to the effect of, you are so beautiful, Ma. I love you. We got to find the little messages where it's even this.
There are signs.
Just gotta see open.
One of the things I used to talk to Angie about is enjoying intentional remember. And take that, I just do it intentionally, taking a song or taking a memory and you just making it a night of it. And just doing that intention and turning towards it and just not avoiding, just saying, I want to spend the night.
Advice from you. I have spent Monday, Tuesday with two of Trevor's separately, two of his best friends growing up. And to seek into them, how can I? Tomas is really struggling. He's been clean and sober for 6 years now, but he's dealing with his own depression. I'm hearing a lot of them. I was their monitor still, these nuts, and they're coming out and they're asking, they're broken too. They are living with regrets, and I just say to them, please don't regret. Let's just.
So I would say, Danelle, don't make this about you. Please don't make this about you. You can honor my son by honoring my son. And if you're going to make this an excuse for you to go screw up your own life, that's not honoring my son. I need you to pull it together, be strong, and stay sober, and don't make this story about you right now. Why don't you be of service and come to the funeral and help other people that are struggling?
They're both speaking.
Yeah, just help, man. Once you come there, don't make it about you. Just come there and help other people and help the family. Give us all hugs and be strong. And I don't want to hear, you're out there ruining your whole life just because my son passed. That's not how you honor people. It's this weird kind of drug addict thinking. It's like, what a weird response. It's like, why'd you get loaded? Well, my dad died. What? Like that? You feel that's so weird, It's like what, all of a sudden, when my dad passed, my mom's high.
Mom, we bring the funeral. Like a mom, why are you doing that? Well, Dad died. It's like, why do you get to get high? Because Dad died, And I probably would have ran that con job back in the day. But no, when my father died or when someone dies, it's of me to be of service to everyone else. It's not about me. It's about going and saying, hey, how can I support these people? What can I do? And to speak at my dad's funeral and a year clean or 7 months clean and honor everyone there and not make it about me, I'm proud of myself for that. I didn't go on some run because my dad died or my mom died, and I held both of their hands when they died. And it's about now turning our suffering into curious compassion that says, hey, those guys, they should have compassion right now and not helpful compassion. We're all in a club. We lost it. We don't need people tearing the whole club down. We need to honor. We need to be there. So yeah, don't let them run that con job. Huh?
I've had a living child that's running that con job on me.
Yes.
And she's not a drug addict.
That's right.
And she abandoned me.
Yeah.
Who is this? My daughter.
Yep.
She abandoned me. I've not had a hug from her.
Yeah.
She tells me that I played the victim. And she expects, she's ambushed me with boundaries.
Yeah.
And I'm creating 2 children. It's been almost 2 years.
This is a very similar experience for a lot.
That is very hard. There are 2 children. It's a work. It feels like that. Relying a lot today.
I think that we have to get hurt, and it's a dance, right? Because on one aspect, this family became about this, and so there's this little girl that's screaming for validation and attention, and wanting acknowledgement, but she doesn't know how to get it. So because she doesn't know how to get the proper acknowledgement, the proper validation, she's acting out in this way.
She knows she won that.
She knows, and what she really wants is your love and your attention. And that's what she wants. She wants her mother. And she doesn't want you to be any different because we're not that thoughtful as kids. She just wants, you know what I mean? I mean, what it's not. As young people, we're not looking up at our parents thinking they're going through anything. We're like, wait, you're my mother, act like it. And I don't care what's happened to you, you need to continue to act like my mother. And, you know, you kind of like grab that perspective first of these spoiled little brats, you know, and they're not able to see that. I teach the kids in my program all the time. I say, if you want a better parent, be a better son, be a better daughter. If you want a better boss, be a better employee. If you want a better friend, be a better friend. But complaining and doing that's not the way to better. So for one aspect is you understand that. And the second aspect is, okay, let's get into her perspective and then kind of approach it in a nuanced way where we're not allowing her to be a victim or anything, but she'll talk to her. We'll get her. We'll be. Sure. Remember what we started with on this thing, and right now, just an example of what we will do for Battlefield is that you're lacking power. With your daughter, you're lacking power. You're lacking influence and power, and right now, it's going to take you becoming a bigger person. It's going to take you letting her level you with the hatred, but staying there and not defending yourself. And it's going to take your daughter, I would liken it to a scared dog. And scared dogs are either one of two things. They're either shaky and angry, or they're ferocious. Oh, she's ferocious. So your daughter is a ferocious, scared dog. But it doesn't change that you have to be responsible for this relationship. And you have to kind of get in there as smoothly as you can, and then get your arms around her and hug her until she can, until she can't get away. And but that's going to take, because as you're approaching this, hatred is going to be coming at you, and it's going to want you to protect yourself. And the moment you begin to protect yourself, you will say the wrong things, the mean things. You will be in a fight for your life. And so this is kind of the teachings of how do we give somebody enough power to be responsible for this relationship and not worry about their own boundaries and not worry about what's said about them, and kind of get in there and get past their closed heart and open their heart up again and see them.
That's the hardest thing to do, what you just said.
Yes.
Because it's something you have to learn and practice.
Yeah, you have to. Now, we have a book that we're really studying under. I always recommend it. I want to. Well, I mean, we are doing internal family systems. So our program has become about internal family systems. So IFS is a form of trauma therapy. And I'm not a big trauma guy. I'm not a big victim guy. I'm a big pain guy. And this teaches us about the part, when it says internal family systems, the meaning of that is that we have a kind of a panel, a team running us in here. So you know how you got you got your pain. So you got your pain, and then you got what's called a manager. And the manager is trying to be proactive and keep you out of situations that cause you pain. So your manager is the one that's saying the reasons to not talk to her. That's your manager, right? And then you have what's called firemen. And our firemen are how we act and what the parts of us that come in when we're hurt. And when the pain's been hit, and this is reactive. So we have these systems that are trying to avoid pain. And we have the proactive systems that defend us and keep us, the boundary setters, the ones that don't want to go around people. And then we have these parts of us that are firemen that happens once our pain gets hit and they react. And this is what we're teaching, and I learned it in a different way prior to this book, but when I found this book, I went, this is the magic teaching tool. If people just use this and see it this way. And so that's what we've been working with. But for me, that's what it was. Remember when I said about this thing was finding God and opening your heart. So how do I help these scared, ferocious dogs? Well, one of the things is like when my pain gets hit, I can't act from my fire. I disqualified that. So I have to be able to sit with this pain and let it get hit and be with my pain and not blame and take responsibility for that being my pain. And so I've had to learn how to like feel hatred coming in and feel it hit and be with that pain and take a breath and go, that's just me being scared. That's just my pain. And I can just be with it. And if I be with it, I stop that process where my heart races and then my mind blames and then I defend myself and I justify myself. But if I can kind of see that whole process happening, I can kind of lead myself through it. And that's what you're going to have to learn. And this is what it's about. It's in your suffering, finding how not to close your heart, not to protect yourself, but getting bigger and more open-hearted. And right now you're tender and raw. And your pain's just a big paint can, and anything said or done is going to spill that over, and you're going to react. And you're going to have to, because that's just what your pain's requiring. So teaching you to actually kind of diminish your pain through acknowledgement and being with it, that's the way that you're stopping so reactive. Get to a place where you're going to be able to handle it. But that's the teaching. That's what we're working with here. So that's what we teach the kids in the program, and we teach them not about what they did or anything. We teach them about their pain. How do you be with your pain and not have this? See, a kid's is an addict. He has a fireman that comes in as soon as he's in pain and says, "Go do drugs." Right? Maybe you have different things that your firemen are doing for you right now. When your pain gets really bad, where do you go?
Chocolate to sleep.
Yeah. See, cheese. And he'll take something.
Oh, no, that's my superpower.
Okay.
So that's it. And so that's isolation and loneliness, and that's all of it. And somebody's pain will require them to go shopping or eating or, for me, I've found the least harmful method that I have to distract myself is food. So, if I come to painful loss, for me now, my head doesn't go do drugs. It goes, big pizza. And then my brain figures out why I'm entitled to that.
Sick cat. And then you start getting you're kind of happy for these opportunities.
You know what I mean? It's like, well, the world did it to me again. I'm listening,
And really, we're looking for the world to do it to us. So, Yeah.
So then, Arian, you're getting a piece of art and his teachings here and all you new people here, but this is a piece, and this is solution groups. And we have an entire library, too, of recorded in Spring the past several years. But also coming up after we get back with the baby and all that, and this coming spring and summer, we're going to be having some workshops. And so stay tuned for things like that. But we have the space now in here to do some private, smaller, focused groups with these teachings. So be on the lookout for those workshops coming. But this is just a piece of what...
Eventually, it's about two things. And for two reasons for me, it became about two things. It became about an open heart and a free mind. And when my heart's open, my mind is free. And I can find pleasure in the current moment, and I can enjoy what's going on. But when my heart closes and I get in pain, my brain fixates on whatever the cause of that was. And when that happens, it's how long do I live with a closed heart, and how is that affecting my other relationships? See, I would argue that it's not what happened. It's that your daughter has a sense that your heart's closed. And you live with a closed heart right now. Your heart's closed, and you're in your head, and you're not there. And she's to say, "Mom, open your heart to me." Now, she's not saying in a very easy way. It's very difficult to just open your heart because, that's what it is. But this is what it's about. For me, this came about when in my life, I have to live with an open heart and a free mind. And when my heart closes and my mind's not free, after that process happens and it's too late, I didn't catch it and I didn't be there with my pain. Well, then it's about conversations to reopen my heart And so I have to now find that person that I'm thinking about. And I have to talk. And I must. And for you, and when our heart closes, it doesn't just close to the person that we're dealing with. It closes to everyone. Because really we're trying to be here and be enjoyed, but you're thinking about this person that has your heart closed and that your heart is closed to. And so these kind of this weight of a closed heart that happens to us, this weight of bad relationships, it's just this weight that takes all of our joy and freedom. And for me, I had to learn over time that any relationship that closes my heart, I have to deal with that right now. And I found a way to deal with it with curiosity or whatever it is. Getting curious about people, letting them thrash me around sometimes and not defend myself. And eventually the goal just became to keep my heart open. And if my heart is open, I'm good. I'm in joy. I'm good. And the moment if something happens today in this room and somebody says something you don't like or something, just imagine what happens. So you're here and your heart's open, you had a good time, and all of a sudden I say something to piss you off and your heart closes, and then you leave here and you think about me and what I said and what you should have said back, and that's how we spend our days. And I just learned right when that happens, there's an acknowledgement. Oh, my heart's closed. Hey, I need to talk to you about what you said. Why do you say that? Did I do something wrong? Boom, I have to handle that right now, keep current. Because when I walk out of this room, if my heart's not open to everybody in the room, I'm going to think about that all day. And I'm going to have a bad day. You know? So for me, it was just that one mission. I always keep my heart open. And if today you guys all leave and I have to talk about what are you behind your back to Angie or...
Do you see how stupid that lady was behaving? Or whatever it is. It's just like, and then I'm trying to take a nap or whatever, but I'm thinking about, well, I should have said this to them, and I should have said that in that whole process, that pain process.
I'm not going to have a good day. But I promise you, when you walk out of here today, we're just going to move on with our day and experience the little what happened, and that's what we've learned with each other. We know if the other's heart's closed. And there is only one mission when that happens, you know. Remember that. Used to be though, when your heart closes, what's the first kind of mechanism you want to do with another person? It's like savagery.
You know?
It's like I remember it was like,
Yeah, I was stop talking to this person.
It's like, good win. This is the longest.
Yeah, she's better than me. She could punish me all day if I allow her, but I don't allow it.
No.
And I don't allow it with me either. It's like, oh, I'm not going to talk to Ange today because she pissed me off. Wait, did I just say I'm not going to talk to my wife today? That's insane. What an insane way to live, you know? I found this.
Totally lets me get away with it. Yeah. So he needs to come to me.
Well, I found that when a woman gives you the silent treatment, the doing of the dishes gets a lot louder.
The cupboards get fired for silent. What is she doing? Contracting out there?
You know, it's really funny is my husband does the dishes because I usually work more hours than he does, and they still get louder.
Yeah.
And it's like, is she vacuuming violently? Now, when she's happy with me and I take a nap, pure silence, Aki. It's like she's put pillows on her feet.
Heard thing we hold the shade. It's a imaginary thing. We do it to each other in the car a lot.
Yeah.
That means don't talk to me.
yeah, no, either.
Oh, wow.
Did you take this? Yep. Can we see this and replay it back? Everything you said. Good. I need it. We all need it.
You know, the only reason I even know about all this stuff is because I ran a big house with 35 addicts in it. And I lived in anger and hatred. You know, when you're trying to control 35 addicts,
One Zary.
You go 35 on one because it just didn't behave good. You know what I mean? And worse than them not behaving good, whenever they didn't behave good, it was my fault. That's how it was. I would go approach them and say, hey, you're not behaving good. And they say, yeah, that's because you do this. What? What? You know? And that's kind of the gaslighting that we had to face. And so you get to a point where I either would have had to quit doing what I'm doing and do that thing where people say, oh, it's burnout and all that shit. It's like, no, you're just not doing it right. There's no such thing as burnout. It's like, what an opportunity for me to keep an open heart. Oh, they're yelling at me and calling me a piece of shit. Big opportunity for me, you know? It's like that prayer for the appropriate amount of difficulty today. You know, it's like, God, I pray for the appropriate amount of difficulty, and I like where it says appropriate. You know, I don't want the inappropriate amount of difficulty today.
And interestingly enough, you know, I'm a manager of people. And I feel like I deal with other people
Better.
differently because they don't have that emotional attachment as my own family. They really just need to start applying the things that I do at work to try to get grown-ass adults to work with each other.
Let's talk about that. So let me talk about why that is for us. Let me tell you why it is for you. Why it is for you that that's true is the level of responsibility that you feel for the relationship with those people at work. See? You feel 100% responsibility for the relationship at work. Okay? So when they're behaving poorly, you take on all the responsibility that you will have to get better for them to behave better. Okay? So it's the level of responsibility for the relationship that we're willing to take on. And the way that you know that you feel responsible for the relationship is that when they do something wrong, you think first, your first thought is, okay, how do I adapt and what's my strategy to end that behavior? How do I got to do different? And when we don't feel responsible for a relationship and someone behaves poorly, we just complain. And we go, I can't believe they did this and I can't believe they did that. And see, at work, the way it'll work for you is you'll go, I can't believe they did this and I can't believe they did that. And you might have a little bit of that venting process because of the pain of their behavior. But then there becomes a time right after that where you go, what am I going to do? Right? And that's the level that right there, when you come to that point, and with your daughter, it doesn't get to that point, right? So with your daughter, you don't feel responsible for the relationship right now. So with your daughter, he goes, I can't believe she's behaving this way and she's behaving this way. You don't get to that next level where you take a breath and go, wow, this is my responsibility. You see? And that's what we do with with our kids. Because at some point, you wouldn't do it if your daughter was 8 right now and behaving this way. You would just go grab her and hold her, hug her until she stopped and said, this isn't going to go on. Knock it off. But as they get bigger, it's a little more fearful to deal with them because they've learned different ways to knife you. So as they've got older, they've gotten a set of ammo in their repertoire, right? And it's very hurtful ammo. And so now you start get to that complaint, you're out of ideas and dominated. And so you get to the point where you're just out of ideas and you're dominated and you don't know what to do next. And all you know is when I approach that situation, it's like a knife in my heart. And I can't really take responsibility for it because I don't know how to approach it. And that's the question. It's just, if you don't know how to approach it, then it's not about all the complaining about what they're doing. That's just facts, what they're doing. And we establish those facts of what they're doing, and we get curious about why they're doing it. So once you get curious about why she is the way she is, you're going to approach it from curiosity rather than protection. So
You know, just a little bit of a consult here. So for me, I would say curiosity is where you're going. Calm, curious, passionate, open heart. And you're going to her with that kind of curiosity, and that's how she's going to talk to you from. And it might be hard to listen to, and it might be delusional.
A lot of these kids are on the fucking Mars right now. And as a parent, you gotta like, they're telling you about Mars and it exists and you gotta live, and then you got like one or two options. You just go, oh, I'd like to try Mars, or whatever you say. You know,